A80 versus R34. The Nissan Skyline GTR 34 versus the Toyota Supra A80. Welcome back to another video, this time about these two overrated Japanese Grand Tourers. Except that this time we're gonna be comparing them to see which is better and which you should buy. Now, getting into some of these stats, the R34 has 326 bhp and the Supra has 276, so there's a 50 bhp power deficit between them. However, the R34 weighs 1560, is RWD and has a 25-75 torque split. Meanwhile, the Supra weighs even more at 1640 kg and it's RWD. These two are some of the most common cars that you would see on the road, and they have a theoretical top speed of 353 km/h for the R34 and 347 for the Supra in this game. Now, even though they are overrated, these cars can actually be fast in the hands of a right driver. So I'm going to be showing you a bunch of tests and a few other things to help you see which one should be the better for you. Now, going on to how much torque the car has, the R34 has 289, meanwhile the Supra has 355, which is where it gets all of its acceleration from. Both of these have an inline six with twin turbos and 6-gear manual speed boxes. They are actually cheap. The R34 costs 3.5 million, meanwhile the Supra costs 4 million. That's the main drawback of the Supra. Customization, which looks better. Both of these cars have multiple combos you can do and a lot of varying combinations and a lot of parts as well, although the Supra is a little bit more fleshed out, although it's missing some important kits. The R34's driving style. Now, this is one of the easier but harder cars the more you progress. Due to how heavy it is, it can corner really fast, but it can also understeer. It's very similar to the Spirit, the NSX-1, the Countach or the Carton even. Now, because this car is actually classified as a turner in my opinion, because it has most of its handling power but not that much speed, and don't take it rallying because the suspension isn't great. The A80's driving style, however, it's another boat, except that it's actually RWD, and it's similar to the 50 CSI, 993, Corvette C4 or the Tesla. The difference is distinct power slides everywhere, and unlike the R34, it still has torque in the upper reps, so it actually turns a little bit worse, but can drift if you wanted to. However, this is not advisable, and don't take it running as well, because it doesn't have good suspension. Vehicle test, which is better. The top speed of the A80 versus the R34. The A80 actually has a little bit higher top speed, being at 314, meanwhile the R34 has 311. However, the acceleration is where the Supra can kill the R34. In a drag race, the AWD system for the R34 doesn't help you with the 0 to 100, as it's slower by 1/10 of a second. Now, because it doesn't have that much torque on the upper curves, it's even slower when going from 0 to 200 km/h, being 0.9 of a second slower. And now when going into 250, it's slower by 3 seconds, due to the 70 deficit amount of the torque. Now, the handling. The R34 kills the Supra in this case, and this is where it actually gets all of its power. The R34 has supreme cornering and can actually take some corners at 270 km/h, meanwhile the Supra can barely do 250. This is also shown by the exit on some of the corners. The car can enter at 260, the Supra 250. Now, however, in the braking department, the Supra has way stronger brakes, while being regular. The R34 has some really shitty brakes, as it's 1 second slower when slowing down from 205 km/h. Now, the world record time. In Shuto Expressway, the Supra has a world record of 314.6 and the R34 314.8, so they're matched. However, I was only able to do a 16.2 with the Supra and a 15.0 in the R34. Now on Otsuki, the R34 has a world record of 254 and the Supra has a world record of 257. However, I was only able to do 306 in the Supra and I was able to do 258 in the R34. Now, those are the world record runs that have been done by John Bacon, if I'm correct. On Classic Tokyo, the R34 obliterates the Supra again because the Supra doesn't have any handling capability and it slides. The world record for the R34 is 51.7 and the Supra is somewhere in the 52s. Now, in a one-lap battle between these two cars in C1, the Supra may actually win some of the times because it has way better acceleration in low levels, as you could see from one of the tests. However, the R34 with its handling can sort of keep up, but any single day, the Supra will have a faster stance in Sector 1 or 2. Now, the trick to the R34 when driving it is to keep the foot, actually to keep the throttle planted and not let go mostly anywhere. And try to turn early so that you don't understeer in a wall, else the Supra will immediately pass you if you're racing with those. The trick to the Supra is to let off a lot and try to keep it steering and not understeering, or in the other case oversteering. I usually try to take them in 6th gear because of a little bit of better handling for both of these cars. They are really matched. The only reason why the R34 has really great handling is that it doesn't have torque in the upper revs, which means it can easily get away from the Supra in some of the corners. Until we get to a straight like this one, and the Supra immediately kicks in with its higher torque. The best thing you can do as an R34 user is just keep the foot planted and try to use it here to barely keep up, and wait until the next set of corners. The driver in the Supra is Chuck Norris, the current C1 world record holder. He had about 1 or 2 weeks of experience in the Supra at that time. I had about 4 weeks. But he was still able to beat me due to the amount of crashes that you could easily get in the R34, which can also happen in the Supra. This is a battle between controller and keyboard, which means that if you are a high skilled player, you can drive the Supra properly, but if you're one of the regular drivers or one of the average people in the game, it will be quite hard, and the R34 is a better choice. If you want to go for more pain and a little bit of extra time cut by 2 seconds, by .2 actually, pick the Supra. But this only works on C1 because it gets killed everywhere else, so it isn't actually a good advice. Now, the Supra is quite easy to understeer in the R34 as well if you don't know some braking points, but they have basically the same ones as the Testa for the Supra and the Spirit ones for the R34. That's basically how it goes. As you can see, the Supra can still rush away from the R34 even in the corners in the lower revs because it has a little bit of better handling. However, when we get to a straight, the R34 gets obliterated. Even here, I wasn't able to completely catch up because of the superior straight line speed. We both got 324s during this race. The verdict. Which should you buy? Now, let's do the tally up. The R34 wins in the price, it loses in the top speed, the acceleration and the braking. However, it has a lower skill cap and it's easier to do well in, and its handling is fucking great. Not so much on Otsuki because of its gears, and the world record times when combining all maps is lower by 4 seconds. So the winner will be the R34 with 4 out of 7 marks compared to the Supra with 3 out of 7. That's why it's the better purchase. Thanks for watching.